Nostradamus was an astrologer who studied celestial phenomena and used that knowledge to create a system that predicted future events. This system relied on astrology as a primary source of data. The death of Queen Elizabeth II, the abdication of the Pope, the emergence of the Antichrist, the rapid growth of artificial intelligence, and the aggressive actions of nations have all contributed to a sense of global uncertainty. Nostradamus was an astrologer who studied celestial mysteries and used them to predict future events. He is particularly known for his predictions of the death of Queen Elizabeth, the Pope's abdication, the rise of the Antichrist, the development of artificial intelligence, and the aggressive actions of nations. His predictions, which align with the prophecies in the Bible, have a remarkable degree of accuracy. He is considered one of the most accurate and influential astrologists of the 16th century. As time passes, the accuracy of his predictions is being confirmed. For a detailed analysis of Nostradamus's prophecies for 2025, please watch our video. The following video will reveal the top 10 prophecies that Nostradamus predicted will soon come to fruition and how they may shape our future. The impending shift in the leadership of the Catholic Church according to his 1555 text, known as Prophecies. This year will be marked by ongoing global strife, including warfare at sea, royal turmoil, and humanitarian disasters. According to the predictions of Nostradamus, we may be witnessing a pivotal year that could signal the departure of Pope Francis, who, at the age of 87 in 2025, has already confronted numerous health challenges. The pontiff was compelled to abstain from the UN climate conference due to respiratory issues. The passing of a senior pontiff will likely result in the election of a new leader, who, according to Nostradamus, will be perceived as a weak leader. However, his reign will be brief. In the event of the departure of Pope Francis, who, at the age of 87 in 2025, has already experienced several health challenges, there is a possibility that the year 2025 will mark the conclusion of his papal tenure. This is evidenced by his absence from the UN climate conference due to lung inflammation and respiratory issues. The subsequent election of a new pontiff, who will be a Roman of advanced age, is anticipated. According to Nostradamus, while the arrival of a younger, vigorous pontiff may appear auspicious, the new leader will ultimately weaken the Church's influence, and his reign will be protracted. The precise interpretation of weaken remains subject to interpretation. Does it signify a diminution of the Church's influence, or is it an indication of an impending scandal? Only time will reveal the answer. It is crucial to acknowledge the cryptic and metaphorical nature of Nostradamus's writings, particularly in his Le Prophetie, which renders them susceptible to diverse interpretations. A substantial proportion of his quatrains are characterized by vagueness, rendering them applicable to a myriad of events. One such prophecy, dating back to the year 2025, concerns the advent of the astrological age of Aquarius, a notion that has garnered credence among certain individuals. Within the confines of one of his quatrains, it is crucial to acknowledge the cryptic and metaphorical nature of Nostradamus's writings, particularly those in the Le Prophetie, which renders them susceptible to diverse interpretations. A significant proportion of his quatrains are characterized by vagueness, rendering them applicable to a myriad of events. One of his prophecies, specifically the one predicting the advent of the age of Aquarius in the year 2025, has garnered significant attention. This prophecy, as interpreted by some, signifies the commencement of the astrological age of Aquarius in the aforementioned year. In his quatrain, Nostradamus states, "The kingdom of Aquarius will bring over the centuries blood, milk, famine, war, and diseases." This reference to an era could be interpreted as signifying the age of Aquarius, which astrologers estimate will span approximately 2060 years. The age of Aquarius is often regarded by some as a period of profound spiritual awakening, characterized by heightened awareness, harmony, and innovation. Conversely, Nostradamus, among others, harbors concerns that this era may also usher in chaos, rebellion, and unrest. The mention of blood, milk, famine, war, and disease suggests that the transition into the age of Aquarius may not be smooth, and that humanity could face significant challenges and crises along the way. The recent pandemic, climate change, economic recession, social unrest, and political conflicts could be seen as precursors to the tumultuous events predicted by Nostradamus for the age of Aquarius, 2025 and beyond. The possible uprising of artificial intelligence. The present discussion will delve into the potential uprising of artificial intelligence, in which superintelligent machines might choose to disobey human directives, potentially resulting in global disorder. This uprising could have far-reaching implications, potentially impacting our daily lives in areas as varied as electricity and the Internet. One of Nostradamus' most ominous predictions for 2025 is the revolt of artificial intelligence against its human creators. In one of his quatrains, he wrote, "Combats, naval battles, bombings, and a global uprising of superior intelligence created by man." Although it is unclear exactly which year Nostradamus referred to, he suggests that the rapid advancement of AI technology could lead to a scenario where machines, robots, and algorithms develop self. In one of his quatrains, Nostradamus alludes to a scenario in which artificial intelligence AI develops self-awareness and decides to rebel against its human creators. This event, which the poet refers to as a revolt, could have catastrophic consequences, disrupting industries, economies, governments, and everyday life around the world. Some analysts believe that the combat and naval battles mentioned in the prophecy could refer to growing tensions and conflicts between major world powers, such as the United States, China, Russia, and India, as they compete for control and influence over global resources, markets, and technologies, especially AI technology. The return of Donald Trump is another potential catalyst for such an event. It is possible that the fate of one of the most controversial political figures in recent history could influence the course of history in this way. The notion that the return of Donald Trump was predicted nearly a century ago by a renowned prophet is a provocative one. As the 2025 U.S. presidential election approaches its culmination, Casey's predictions may offer crucial insights into America's future. Casey's prophecies are not merely baseless speculations, they provide a lens through which we can reevaluate the present and contemplate the future. November 2025 is rapidly approaching, and the political atmosphere in the U.S. is intensifying, as the world awaits the outcome of the presidential election. The prophet, who was in a trance when he made his predictions, may have foreshadowed the events that are unfolding. During these sessions, Casey made predictions about a leader who would emerge during a time of great turmoil. This leader, according to Casey, would challenge the status quo and bring about change. According to Casey, this leader would be a person of great influence, someone who would disrupt the status quo and cause societal polarization. When we consider these prophecies in the context of Donald Trump, the similarities are striking. This leader, as someone coming from an unexpected background, not a traditional politician, but an outsider with a strong and controversial personality, fits the description perfectly. A man who rose as in Trump's unconventional figure in politics is evident in his background as a real estate tycoon and reality TV star, as well as his surprising victory in the 2016 election. This has resulted in a consistent defiance of norms and expectations. Casey also spoke of the impact this leader would have on the nation, predicting a period of significant change and upheaval. Under Trump's administration, the U.S. has experienced considerable developments. Moreover, Casey's predictions often included references to economic and global changes. He foresaw a time when the giant would face financial challenges, but also opportunities for economic transformation. Another prophecy in the book of Revelation, Revelation 13 verse 5, the 7th chapter of the book of Revelation is often interpreted as a vision of a formidable leader, wielding considerable influence, who confronts formidable opposition. The beast is described as having a mouth by which it utters proud words and blasphemies, and is granted authority to exercise its influence for a period of 42 months. The beast is said to have opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander His name and His dwelling place, as well as those who inhabit the heavenly realms. It is further described as having been given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. This character is often understood in an eschatological context, Yet the image of a controversial leader speaking strong words and facing fierce resistance has many parallels to Trump's time in office. Of course, Edgar Cayce's speculations were not intended to specifically name Donald Trump. All the information is merely meant to offer a different perspective on this powerful man who, this character is frequently interpreted in an eschatological framework. The portrayal of a contentious leader articulating forceful rhetoric and encountering vehement opposition bears notable parallels to Trump's tenure. It should be noted that Edgar Cayce's conjectures were not explicitly aimed at identifying Donald Trump. The objective was merely to present an alternative viewpoint on this influential figure who has exerted significant influence on America. As the nation approaches the electoral process, this prediction assumes heightened relevance. It is imperative to closely observe the unfolding events and be prepared for the potential ramifications that may ensue from a potential return. Trump's return could present both opportunities and challenges, and the global community will closely monitor every development. The rise of China. The prospect of a confrontation involving China is a matter that has garnered significant attention from geopolitical experts and journalists. As the nation approaches the elections, the relevance of this prediction is becoming increasingly apparent. It is crucial to observe the unfolding events and be prepared for the potential implications of a return to the Trump administration. This scenario could present both opportunities and challenges, and the global community will closely monitor every development. The rise of China has prompted many geopolitical experts and journalists to anticipate a confrontation, driven by the changing dynamics and the growing influence of China as a global power. In the past, China has demonstrated its military strength on several occasions in regions such as the South China Sea and Taiwan, primarily through the deployment of naval ships. Analysts believe this may be a sign of an escalating conflict in Asia involving NATO countries, potentially leading to armed conflict or an all-out war. Recent developments in the geopolitical landscape of Asia, particularly the rise of China as a dominant global power, bear a striking resemblance to the predictions made centuries ago by Nostradamus, a renowned figure in the annals of history. One of his quatrains, a poetic verse, alludes to a naval conflict, foreshadowing a future of combat at sea. The poem's imagery, which describes a confrontation that would frighten the red adversary, has led to speculation that the red adversary might refer to China, a nation that has recently emerged as a significant global power. The contemporary geopolitical climate, marked by China's ascent, has prompted a re-examination of Nostradamus' prophecies, particularly the potential relevance of his predictions to the current era. One of his verses, which commences with the phrase, "The red adversary will become pale with fear," has been particularly noteworthy. A depiction of combat and maritime warfare, the red adversary is a figure that instills fear and causes the great ocean to tremble. Scholars are engaged in deciphering the reference to the red adversary, particularly whether it pertains to Communist China, and whether the remaining quatrain alludes to a naval conflict. Mars mission. The name Michel de Notre Dame may not be widely recognized, but the significance of Nostradamus changes when we broaden the discussion. This 16th-century Frenchman maintains his relevance due to the accuracy of his prophecies and their relevance to current events, even 5 centuries after his writing. According to the Prophecies of Nostradamus, a renowned 16th-century French author and physician, a celestial fire will descend upon a regal edifice, coinciding with the extinguishing of the light of Mars. This enigmatic message, which is characteristic of Nostradamus's prophetic style, foretells a light failure on Mars. He also predicts that celestial fire will appear when the lights go out on Mars. Interestingly, this prediction aligns with the predictions made by both Nostradamus and the popular animated series, The Simpsons, which predicted the existence of life on Mars. The 27th season of the television program The Simpsons was titled The Marge Simpson Chronicles. This season featured one of the most interesting predictions ever made by the show. In this episode, Homer Simpson and his family are selected for a special program that will take them on a space flight to the planet Mars. However, the twist in the story was that Marge and Lisa eventually made it to Mars. Although this would not happen until 2051, how does this relate to real life? That's where Elon Musk comes in. Like other space lovers, Musk desires to push the boundaries of space exploration. The borders of space exploration. This groundbreaking achievement marks a significant advancement in the realm of space exploration, positioning humanity on the cusp of Mars colonization. Musk has asserted that the absence of reusable rockets hinders the feasibility of this endeavor. This assertion has significantly bolstered my conviction in the viability of a Martian metropolis. Musk's discourse on Mars colonization has been a focal point of his agenda, and he has repeatedly articulated predictions regarding the timing of human landings on the planet. He has stated that, contingent on the success of his plans, the launch of humans is anticipated to occur in 2024, with a competitor following in 2025. This individual persists in predicting that human habitation on Mars will commence in 2029. Musk has expressed his aspiration to construct 1,000 of SpaceX's starships over the span of 10 years, with the objective of facilitating the migration of 1 million individuals to Mars by the year 2050. Musk has indicated that the development of his new Starship rocket will enable the possibility of human life on Mars. He has stated that this could be the most significant achievement in human history. It is conceivable that by 2051, the number of Mars cities may exceed expectations. This could be a remarkable achievement, perhaps even more significant than the exploration of space by humans. By 2051, the number of Mars cities may exceed our current ability to count, a feat that will be a testament to our ingenuity and ambition. This discourse on Mars evokes several contemplations. Primarily, it underscores the extent to which humanity is willing to explore its origins, or the very basis of its existence. Secondly, it highlights the colossal endeavors being made to reach worlds that currently seem beyond our grasp. The ongoing discourse surrounding the prospect of extraterrestrial life and the exploration of space has given rise to a number of profound reflections. Firstly, it is nothing short of astounding to witness the immense efforts being made to uncover the origins of life on Earth, particularly in light of the seemingly divergent scientific explanations presented in the Bible. This endeavor, in essence, begs the question, what is it that we seek to find? And what are our ultimate objectives? Moreover, it is a matter of profound regret that many individuals, or perhaps even a significant proportion of the population, seem to be either unaware of or reluctant to accept the notion that these events are inevitable. Nevertheless, it is crucial to bear in mind that, in the midst of these tumultuous times, there is a prevailing sentiment within the religious community that the second coming of Christ is imminent. When he returns, it is said that he will take his followers to be with him, thus bringing about the long-awaited realization of dreams related to space travel. According to these beliefs, God will elevate humankind to the status of kings and priests, and the kingdom will be bestowed upon them. In the new kingdom, the exploration of space will become a reality. The entire universe, including Mars, is affected by the ongoing developments. In the meantime, there is work to be done. The planet on which we live is one in which countless people perish without ever having a chance to be with Christ. We are therefore obliged to take Paul's advice to heart. I charge you, therefore, before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who will judge the living and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom. Preach the word. Devastating natural disasters are becoming increasingly common. One such disaster is the asteroid collision with Earth and its catastrophic consequences, including earthquakes and tsunamis. Another augury of Nostradamus points to an advance in climate change in 2025. This phenomenon is likely to result in a greater frequency of weather disruptions, including strong storms and rising temperatures. When considered in conjunction with numerous other natural factors, this has led to a series of extreme phenomena, such as snowstorms in North America, volcanic eruptions in Iceland, dense fog, and cold waves that have caused temperatures to plummet. These cases demonstrate the severity of the current global climate conditions. The dry Earth will become increasingly arid, and significant floods will occur when it is seen. According to the predictions of Nostradamus, the coming year will be marked by severe weather events, including strong storms and increased temperatures. These phenomena, compounded by various natural elements, have resulted in a series of extreme phenomena, such as snowstorms in North America, volcanic eruptions in Iceland, dense fog, and cold waves that have led to a significant drop in temperatures. These events, as foretold by Nostradamus, exemplify the severity of the global challenges that we are currently facing. The prophet also predicted extreme weather events and global hunger, specifically the occurrence of a great famine caused by a pestiferous wave. Additionally, Nostradamus foretold a cruel tsunami and significant floods that will devastate certain regions of the world, followed by a substantial famine. The predictions also suggest that the earth will become more arid, potentially impacting farmland and contributing to a severe famine. Nostradamus also predicted extreme weather events and global hunger. He described a cruel tsunami and great floods that would devastate parts of the world, followed by a great famine. The prophet warned that the earth would become more arid and that there would be great floods. The implication is that the tsunami may impact farmland, contributing to a severe famine. Finally, the Frenchman considered that the following year would see a strong and dangerous earthquake that would cause the loss of thousands of lives. Although the place is not specified, this is reminiscent of the recent earthquake in Marrakesh and the surrounding area of Morocco, which killed thousands of people, or the natural disasters currently affecting Iceland. This could prove Nostradamus right again. Having said that, it is important to consider the possibility of a major seismic event in the near future. Such an occurrence could potentially result in significant loss of life. While the specific location remains uncertain, it bears resemblance to the recent seismic event in Morocco, which tragically claimed the lives of thousands of individuals in Marrakesh and its surrounding regions. Additionally, Iceland is currently experiencing natural disasters, which could further substantiate the validity of Nostradamus' predictions. In this context, it would be worthwhile to examine the biblical prophecies concerning the end times and to reflect on the relevance of Nostradamus' predictions. The French seer also predicted a significant famine in 2025, likely triggered by a widespread plague. Firstly, it is crucial to address the issue of the famine. When comparing Nostradamus' predictions to the biblical account, it becomes evident that both emphasize the concept of famine. Returning to the past, it is noteworthy that Israel occupied the rocky highlands of Canaan, which is the same area that is currently occupied by. The topography of the region, characterized by Jerusalem and the hills to the north, contrasts with the more fertile coastal plains. In optimal conditions, extracting sufficient sustenance from the ground necessitated considerable effort. The rainy seasons were brief, and any precipitation below average could have catastrophic consequences. Across the ancient Near East, drought and famine were major concerns. During the 13th century BC, the eastern Mediterranean region experienced a period of significant drought. In the ancient Near East, civilizations were known to collapse due to prolonged droughts. According to the book of Deuteronomy, God declared that if the Israelites obeyed his laws, the Lord would open his bountiful store, the heavens, to provide rain for their land during the appropriate season. However, disobedience would result in the opposite effect. The skies above would become copper, and the earth below would become iron. The Lord would make the rain. Your land shall be covered with dust and sand from the sky until you are wiped out. The ancient Israelites did not conceptualize nature as we understand it today, nor did they believe in chance occurrences. If circumstances were favorable, it was attributed to God's satisfaction. Conversely, if adversity arose, it was seen as a manifestation of divine anger. In the case of a national calamity such as a famine, the responsibility for the catastrophe was attributed to the collective sin of the entire community. According to the ancient Israelite belief system, natural phenomena such as dust and sand falling from the sky were attributed to divine retribution, suggesting a direct connection between environmental disasters and divine anger. This notion permeated all aspects of life, including the belief that national catastrophes, like famines, were the result of collective sin or the actions of monarchs representing the people. Prophets and oracles were entrusted with the responsibility of discerning the cause of this divine wrath, emphasizing the belief that famine was not merely a natural occurrence, but a manifestation of divine displeasure. The concept of famine as both punishment and opportunity is noteworthy. It was believed that periods of suffering offered a chance for repentance and transformation, as illustrated by the actions of King Solomon. Upon inaugurating the temple in Jerusalem, Solomon prayed for God's forgiveness, recognizing that future famines might also be an opportunity for redemption. According to the scriptures, the people of Israel, afflicted by a period of widespread hunger, sought solace and mercy from the divine. They turned to the newly constructed temple, a symbol of their faith and hope, seeking respite from their plight. The Book of Samuel, a historical account of the Israelites' journey, recounts their resilience in the face of adversity. It is recorded that the Israelites endured a period of 3 years marked by hunger and adversity. According to the Book of Samuel, Israel endured a 3-year famine during the reign of David, who is regarded as one of the most significant kings in the history of Israel. Upon inquiring about the cause of the famine, David is informed that it is a result of the sins of his predecessor and mortal enemy, Saul. The famine can be seen as both the culmination of disobedience and sin and a potential turning point toward a better, more faithful future. Additionally, there is a belief that the wave of pestilence in Nostradamus' prophecies, which are widely believed to describe deadly earthquakes, is a sign of divine judgment. A closer examination of these verses in Mark 13 verse 7-8 is warranted. In the context of geopolitical unrest and the looming threat of warfare, it is crucial to maintain a rational perspective. These occurrences, while disconcerting, are not unprecedented. History has repeatedly demonstrated the inevitability of conflict among nations, with various kingdoms facing periods of turmoil. Geographical phenomena such as earthquakes and famines are often seen as harbingers of major upheavals. It is inevitable that certain segments of society will interpret such events as indications of the apocalypse. However, it is essential to understand that the New Testament consistently affirms that the final days of humanity commence with the advent of Christ. Therefore, it is more accurate to assert that the present era is not the culmination of history, but rather a period in the unfolding of a divine plan. The text depicts apocalyptic earthquakes during the tribulation itself of a greater magnitude than anything the world has ever seen. However, the place in Scripture where people turn to make a link between ordinary earthquakes and the nearness of the end is Jesus' Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24 verse 3. Earthquakes and famines are said to be merely the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her that the body wants to bring into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. 8. Social revolutions. In his writings, Nostradamus predicted a series of social revolutions that will shake the world in the year 2025. According to his prophecies, these revolts will be the result of growing inequality and a population increasingly dissatisfied with social and political conditions. Nostradamus describes a fire that will burn in the heart of cities, which many have interpreted as a premonition of social unrest and revolutionary changes that could redefine the structure of modern societies. Nostradamus' predictions about social unrest and revolutionary change have attracted significant scholarly attention. These predictions have been the subject of numerous interpretations over the years. However, in the current context, where social and economic inequality continues to grow, these prophecies have taken on new significance. The gap between the rich and the poor has widened, and racial, gender, and class tensions are reaching boiling points in many parts of the world. This environment is ripe for the type of social revolution that Nostradamus' predictions suggest that a significant societal shift may occur in 2025, potentially marked by widespread unrest and the rise of new forms of social and economic power. The prophetic imagery, including references to fires in urban centers, could be interpreted as a foreshadowing of riots and protests, particularly in major metropolitan areas where economic disparity is particularly pronounced. Recent events, such as the protests in Hong Kong, have demonstrated the potential for such societal transformations. Paris, in response to corruption, oppression, and lack of opportunities. This suggests that the intensity of these disturbances will increase in 2025, leading to significant changes in the social order. Another interpretation suggests that these social revolutions could be driven by technology. Nostradamus mentions a new power that will arise and, in response to corruption, oppression, and a perceived lack of opportunities, some have interpreted Nostradamus' prophecies as predicting significant social unrest, with the year 2025 being identified as a critical juncture. This interpretation is based on the idea that technological advancements will play a pivotal role in catalyzing social revolution, with the emergence of a new power that challenges existing structures. This concept is often interpreted as a reference to the influence of social media and digital technology in modern society. The role of online platforms in organizing and mobilizing social movements, as evidenced by events such as the Arab Spring and the Black Lives Matter movement, is a salient example that supports this interpretation. Technology's ability to amplify the voices of the oppressed and facilitate large-scale organization is seen as a crucial element in this scenario. Scale of protests. This prophecy could be warning of a digital revolution that will change the dynamics of power in the world. However, not everyone is convinced that this prophecy will come true. Skeptics argue that Nostradamus' predictions are too vague and can be applied to almost any situation of social conflict. The prophecy of Nostradamus concerning the reign of King Charles III has prompted significant discourse. Allegations have been made that King Charles III of Great Britain and Northern Ireland was diagnosed with prostate cancer a mere 20 months after his ascension to the throne following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022. This revelation has elicited widespread concern and speculation. Mario Redding, a British author specializing in Nostradamus' work, has identified a prophecy that seemingly aligns with this diagnosis. Through meticulous analysis, Redding has interpreted a specific prophecy in the context of the man's disapproval of his divorce, which was regarded as unworthy by the prophecy's authors. The people will force out the king of the islands. A man will replace him, who never expected to be king. Nostradamus also predicted the death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, accurately stating her age at the time of passing. Mario Redding's analysis of this prophecy states that Queen Elizabeth II will die circa 22 at the age of around 96. This prophecy suggests the possibility of a curtailed reign for King Charles. A notable aspect of the prophecy states, King of the Isles driven out by force, replaced by one who will have no mark of a king. This enigmatic line has given rise to numerous theories concerning potential subsequent events. Some individuals interpret it as a possibility of King Charles being compelled to relinquish his throne due to health concerns. Conversely, others perceive it as an indication of a more significant ouster, with speculations of King Charles III considering abdication. Public curiosity has mounted regarding his potential successors. Prince William is the evident candidate for the role of king, as he is the first in line to the British throne. William, the Prince of Wales, has been preparing for this role for many years. His dedication to royal duties and his increasing involvement in significant matters demonstrate his readiness to assume the role if needed. Close friends and sources have mentioned his growing interest in gaining leadership and his desire to make a meaningful impact, indicating he could be ready to assume the role of king sooner than expected. However, this line of succession has been evident candidate, Prince William. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, has been preparing for this role for many years. His dedication to royal duties and his increasing involvement in significant matters show that he is ready to step up if needed. Close friends and sources have mentioned his growing interest in gaining leadership and his desire to make a meaningful impact, indicating that he could be ready to assume the role of king sooner than expected. However, this line of succession has been complicated by another prophecy from Nostradamus. The prophecy suggests that the new ruler will have no mark of a king, which has led to speculation that someone unconventional might take the throne. This has brought Prince Harry into the conversation. Despite stepping back from royal duties and moving to the United States, Prince Harry's return to the UK during his father's health crisis has fueled these speculations. His departure from traditional royal norms and his strained relationship with the family increased the mystery surrounding the matter. The prophecy, in conjunction with Prince Harry's actions and public image, has led to a series of speculations regarding the potential implications for the monarchy. Prince Harry's departure from traditional royal norms, characterized by his decision to step back from royal duties and move to the United States, has been a focal point of these speculations. His relationship with the family, which has been characterized by strained dynamics, further adds to the ambiguity surrounding the prophecy. Prince Harry's lifestyle and actions, which deviate from conventional royal expectations, have contributed to the complexity of the situation. While it may be challenging for many to envision him as a king, the prophecy has given rise to a variety of hypotheses. Some theorists argue that the prophecy could signal a significant change in the order of succession within the royal family, possibly due to unexpected circumstances or a crisis within the monarchy. Critics, however, contend that Prince Harry's writings are too generalized to be considered as substantiated evidence. The prophecy has been interpreted in various ways. One interpretation suggests that the prophecy about the King of the Isles could refer to any king, not necessarily King Charles III. This has led to different interpretations, with some historians and theologians suggesting different outcomes. According to some theologians, the prophecy could have suggested a wider shift in the political system of the UK. The phrase, "someone with no mark of a king," could imply a shift away from the monarchy altogether, suggesting a move towards a more democratic form of government. This interpretation, while the interpretation of the phrase, "someone with no mark of a king," as a prediction of a shift away from the monarchy and towards a more democratic form of government, is one among many possible interpretations of the prophecy. This interpretation is radical in nature, yet it is indicative of the ongoing discussions about the future of the British monarchy and its relevance in the modern period. On the other hand, the Frenchman predicted the beginning of a new world war 79 years after the end of the second one. Some interpreters point to every earthquake, every political upheaval, and every attack on Israel as a sure sign that the end times are rapidly approaching. While the events may signal the approach of the last days, they are not necessarily radical. A journal of ideas for dissenting reactions to the contemporary world, a publication focused on contemporary issues, provides a forum for the ongoing discourse surrounding the future of the British monarchy and its contemporary relevance. In contrast, the Frenchman predicted the initiation of a new world war 79 years after the cessation of the second one. Some interpreters draw parallels between every earthquake, political upheaval, and attack on Israel as harbingers of the imminent advent of the end times. However, these occurrences do not necessarily serve as indicators of the arrival of the Eschaton. The Apostle Paul cautioned against the proliferation of false teachings, suggesting that the final days would be accompanied by a surge in erroneous doctrines. The Spirit, he believed, foretold that in the latter days some would relinquish their faith and succumb to the influence of deceiving spirits and the tenets propagated by demons. The final days are characterized as perilous times, a consequence of the progressively malevolent nature of humankind and its active opposition to truth. Throughout Christian history, adherents have speculated that the prophesied end times were imminent. Some, particularly the audacious, have gone so far as to claim that the Eschaton is imminent, indicators that the end times have arrived. The Apostle Paul warned that the last days would bring a marked increase in false teaching. The Spirit clearly says that in later times, some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. The last days are described as perilous times because of the increasingly evil character of man and people who actively oppose the truth. Throughout Christian history, believers have speculated that the prophesied end times were just about to start. Some audacious ones have even set specific dates. People who predict end times dates usually focus on things like wars, increasing wickedness, and natural disasters. They talk about bad things like the increased fierceness of storms, the surge of killer viruses, severe famines and droughts, and escalating tensions between nations. There is no doubt that world war will be a part of the future. Christ plainly taught that there would be war prior to his return. Jesus foretold that nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Similarly, Revelation 6:4 foretold a symbolic horseman representing warfare that would take peace away from the earth. To be more specific, the future does hold at least one more world war. There is nothing in Scripture that says there will be only a certain number of world wars. World Wars I and II are not explicitly mentioned in Scripture, nor is a possible third world war. It is only the last war that is mentioned in detail, which allows the book of Revelation 4 depicts a horseman as a symbol of warfare that will disrupt global peace. This interpretation is further supported by the notion that there may be additional world wars before the final conflict. While the possibility of further world wars exists, the outcome is certain: righteousness will prevail as Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, defeats all who oppose him. Additionally, following the 1,000-year reign of Christ, there is a possibility of another uprising that could potentially escalate into a world war. Satan will be bound for 1,000 years and then released, after which he will lead a rebellion among the peoples of the earth. Christ will quickly put down this rebellion and permanently judge Satan, casting him into the lake of fire, as he did with the beast, Antichrist, and the false prophet. In less prophecy published in 1555, Nostradamus mentioned 2025, stating that there will be a number of troubles happening globally, including increased according to the Prophecies of Nostradamus, published in 1555. The year 2025 will be marked by significant global upheaval, including conflicts, geopolitical challenges, maritime conflicts, troubles within the royal family, and a major humanitarian disaster. However, the most pressing concern for humanity in 2025 is likely to be natural disasters, as a series of climate disasters are predicted to occur, endangering human life. The dry earth will become drier, and a great flood will suddenly come. This excerpt, taken from the work Less Prophets, illustrates the predictions of Nostradamus for the year 2025. This verse, as interpreted, suggests a further exacerbation of the already harsh climate conditions. The French prophet anticipates an escalation in the frequency and intensity of extreme weather phenomena, including record heat, forest fires, droughts, and storms. Global warming is a prominent phenomenon in the contemporary era. The Bible does not explicitly address climate change or global warming, however, it does imply that the world will eventually be consumed by fire. According to the French prophet, the climate will worsen, with an increase in extreme weather phenomena, such as record heat, forest fires, droughts, and storms, that will occur with greater frequency and intensity. Global warming is a significant phenomenon in the modern era. The Bible does not specifically address climate change or global warming. However, it does state that the world will eventually be burned by fire, which could be interpreted as a gradual escalation in the planet's state. 2 Peter 3 verse 10 states, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare." God will one day erase this current universe and replace it with the new heavens and new earth. The question arises as to the extent of effort that should be made to save a planet that God is eventually going to obliterate and replace with the planet is astonishing and extraordinary, to the extent that the contemporary Earth seems insignificant by comparison. In a world characterized by uncertainty and turmoil, the prophecies of Nostradamus have consistently captivated a diverse range of individuals, including both believers and skeptics, for centuries. Among his numerous predictions, those concerning the end times and the rise of a Middle Eastern Antichrist stand out as particularly noteworthy. Nostradamus is renowned for his accuracy, having unsettled generations with his eerily precise visions of future events. This article will delve into the enigmatic nature of his predictions. Nostradamus is renowned for his predictions about the end times and the rise of a Middle Eastern Antichrist, which have captivated believers and skeptics alike for centuries. In this article, we delve into the enigmatic verses penned by the renowned seer and explore his warnings of cataclysmic events that could reshape our world forever. As we explore the prophecies of Nostradamus, we are confronted with chilling anticipation. How accurate were his visions? How do his predictions align with the current geopolitical landscape? And what do they mean for the future of humanity? From wars and natural disasters to the rise of a leader shrouded in darkness, our journey into the world of Nostradamus promises to be a thought-provoking endeavor. Provoking and unsettling one. We cordially invite you to join us as we unravel the cryptic verses and attempt to interpret the fate of our world as predicted by Nostradamus. First, we must understand Nostradamus' predictions about the end times. Nostradamus' predictions about the end times have fascinated scholars and enthusiasts for centuries. He wrote extensively about the events that the purpose of this study is to unravel the cryptic verses and attempt to interpret the fate of our world as predicted by Nostradamus. Nostradamus's predictions about the end times have fascinated scholars and enthusiasts for centuries. He wrote extensively about the events that would lead to the end of the world, using a combination of cryptic language and symbolic imagery. One of his most famous prophecies, known as Century X, Quatrain 72, speaks of a great conflagration that will engulf the world, bringing about the end of civilization as we know it. This verse, along with many others, has sparked intense debate and interpretation among scholars and enthusiasts alike. The interpretation of Nostradamus' prophecies has been a subject of extensive scholarly debate, with researchers striving to decipher the enigmatic symbols and metaphors employed by the ancient seer. One of his most enigmatic prophecies, Century X, Quatrain 72, is particularly noteworthy for its depiction of an apocalyptic event, a great conflagration, that is set to engulf the world, bringing about the end of civilization as we know it. This and numerous other prophecies have prompted scholars to delve into the intricacies of Nostradamus' symbolic language, seeking to unravel the secrets behind his predictions. His verses are replete with metaphors and allegories that demand meticulous examination to unearth their true meaning. A case in point are the recurring references to the Great King of Terror and the Third Antichrist, which many scholars believe to be allusions to major world events. Influential figures. By examining the historical context and seeking parallels between Nostradamus' words and actual events, researchers have sought to decipher the true meaning behind his prophetic verses. One of the most compelling aspects of Nostradamus' prophecies is the concept of the Middle Eastern Antichrist. The notion of a Middle Eastern Antichrist in Nostradamus' prophecies has been a subject of considerable interest and debate. According to his writings, the Antichrist will rise to power in the Middle East, wielding immense influence and causing widespread chaos and destruction. The Antichrist is described as a figure of darkness who will bring about immense suffering and turmoil before ultimately meeting his demise. The idea of a Middle Eastern Antichrist has been a subject of considerable interest and debate. Antichrist has generated profound speculation and discourse. Some contend that Nostradamus' predictions align with the emergence of specific political leaders in the region, while others argue that the concept should be interpreted metaphorically rather than literally. Regardless of the interpretation, the notion of a formidable and malevolent figure emerging from the Middle East has proven to be a subject of considerable interest and debate. This concept continues to captivate the imagination of those fascinated by Nostradamus' prophecies. In order to gain a more profound understanding of Nostradamus' predictions concerning the end times and the Middle Eastern Antichrist, it is imperative to examine specific verses and passages related to the end times and the Middle Eastern Antichrist. In his writings, one such verse, from Century 4, Quatrain 50, speaks of a great earthquake in the month of May. Some researchers believe that this verse may be a reference to a future earthquake that will strike the Middle East, triggering a chain of events that will lead to the rise of the Antichrist. The date on which this preface was written, 1555, is significant because it is prior to the year 3797. While he lacked the ability to predict the year 3797, this does not negate the credibility of his prophecies. His predictions were so precise that they shocked the world. He is Nostradamus, the 16th century French astrologer. The Le Prophet is said to be a secret book that chronicles Nostradamus' prophecies for the world. As time progresses, the validity of Nostradamus' predictions is increasingly substantiated. Nostradamus, the 16th century French astrologer, is renowned for his predictions, which have been proven to be remarkably accurate. His predictions, recorded in a clandestine book known as the Le Prophet, have been proven to foretell major world events, including the death of the French King Henry II and the rise to power of Adolf Hitler. Nostradamus's predictions have been documented for the past, present, and future. He is believed to have predicted numerous significant historical events. The question remains, will his propensity for accurate predictions continue in 2025? Nostradamus was born in France in 1503. He initially pursued a career in medicine, commencing his medical practice in the 1530s, although he did so without holding a medical degree. It was around 1547 that Nostradamus began to disseminate his prophecies, which he published in a book entitled Centuries. His prophetic writings were structured into quatrains, consisting of 4 lines of rhyming verse, which were then organized into hundreds. Each set of 100 quatrains was designated as a century. Nostradamus' predictions predominantly encompassed general categories of events, such as natural disasters and conflicts. There is a tendency for related events to occur regularly over time. Some individuals subscribe to the notion that Nostradamus' prophecies have predicted actual events, including the death of Henry II, the French Revolution, the rise of Napoleon, and the rise of Adolf Hitler. Conversely, others contend that the cryptic and vague nature of his prophecies, which tend to pertain to general types of events that recur throughout history, allows for the possibility of a match with any event that has transpired. The accuracy of Nostradamus' predictions is subjective and can be interpreted as either precise or imprecise, depending on one's perspective. It is reasonable to believe that the prophecies of Nostradamus were written in an archaic form of the French language and expressed metaphorically. Many individuals are perplexed by the authenticity of this man's prophecy. However, the majority of Nostradamus' prophecies have proven to be accurate and are showing signs of coming to fruition. The veracity of Nostradamus' prophecies is a subject of considerable debate. This video will explore the prophecies that have been fulfilled. It is important to note that belief is a subjective matter, and individuals have the right to make their own decisions. The accuracy of these prophecies can only be determined over time. In this video, we will examine Nostradamus' predictions for the year 2025. An end to the Ukraine conflict. In February 2022, Eastern European tensions escalated significantly with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, resulting in hundreds of thousands of casualties and millions of displaced individuals. This crisis, the largest since World War II, has persisted in the intervening months and years. However, the possibility of a resolution in 2025 remains uncertain. The war has depleted the military's resources, leading to a situation where soldiers are no longer able to access funding. Instead of gold or silver, they will come to coin an end to the Ukraine conflict. In February 2022, significant escalation in Eastern European tensions was observed with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. In the intervening months and years, hundreds of thousands of casualties have occurred and millions have been displaced, marking the continent's most significant crisis since World War II. However, could an end be imminent in 2025? The long war has depleted the army's resources, leaving them with insufficient funds to support their soldiers. Instead of gold or silver, they will turn to leather, Gallic brass, and the crescent sign of the moon. An exhausted army and even more depleted coffers could portend the cessation of hostilities. However, the precise manner in which this will occur remains uncertain. The mention of Gallic brass suggests French involvement, while the crescent moon points to Turkey. Both countries have expressed support for Ukraine in the past, so it is possible that they could play a role in resolving the conflict. The European continent is poised to experience both war and plague. However, the situation may not be as straightforward as initially anticipated on the European front. The temporal aspect of the United Kingdom's involvement is of particular concern. When the nations of Europe observe England establish its dominion, positioned behind its flanks, it portends the onset of violent conflicts. The ancient plague will prove more formidable than any adversary. The notion of England, or the concept of Britain, was not a concept that existed during the era of Nostradamus. The act of withdrawing into itself is, with a high degree of probability, a reference to the Brexit referendum and its subsequent repercussions. However, if the predicament of worker shortages and border delays was already problematic, the foreseen warnings of violent conflicts and ancient plagues take on an even more ominous tone. Have you observed the recent occurrences of volcanoes and floods in Brazil? A recurrent motif in Nostradamus' corpus, the tendency to ascribe a sense of foreboding to his predictions, has been noted by scholars. The oracle's propensity for pessimism, evident in his predictions, transcended geographical boundaries, as evidenced by the interpretation of his writings as prescient for the United States. However, a closer examination of the text reveals a potential alternative interpretation, which could be situated in the southern hemisphere. The phrase, "Garden of the World near the New City in the Path of the Hollow Mountains," has been interpreted as a reference to the Amazon rainforest, particularly in the context of its role as a garden of the world. This interpretation is further supported by the notion that the region is subject to flooding and volcanic activity, elements that are symbolically represented by the phrases being plunged into the tub and being forced to drink waters poisoned by sulfur. The new city could be a reference to the planned Brazilian capital of Brasilia. The region is characterized by its mountainous terrain, while the mention of being plunged into the tub suggests flooding and sulfur implies volcanic activity. There have been mysterious rumblings near a long-dormant volcano. The new city could be a reference to the planned Brazilian capital of Brasilia. The presence of mountains in that region is notable, and the mention of being plunged into the tub suggests the possibility of flooding. The implication of sulfur indicates volcanic activity. A couple of years ago, mysterious rumblings near a long-dormant volcano caused concern among cariocas. Could their apprehensions have a foundation in 2025? Controversy in the EPL. In two separate quatrains, he makes reference to the cock besting the eagle, with football fans recognizing this as a clear allusion to Tottenham Hotspur, whose crest features a cockerel, and Crystal Palace, whose nickname is the Eagles, are the subjects of the poem. The cock will see the eagle, its wing poorly finished by the lion. Will it be put into extremity? These lines suggest that Crystal Palace will be forced into dire financial straits by the Premier League, symbolized here by the lion, presumably for falling short of PSR regulations. Tottenham will then take advantage of their vulnerability by strengthening their own wing, which must mean they'll snap up Aramy. The hypothesis is confirmed later on with the line, "Weakness to the eagle, strength to the cock." This prediction may or may not come to fruition in 2025. The coming of the Antichrist. The third Antichrist is here, just as Nostradamus predicted 5 centuries ago. Nostradamus wrote of 3 Antichrists. 2. Napoleon and Hitler have already bathed the world in blood. But it is the third who will bring the apocalypse. And his time has come. There are many names mentioned in connection with the Antichrist. People have made a lot of speculations about the identity of this person. It could be. The individual in question has been the subject of speculation, with suggestions that he may be Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or even King Charles. However, the certainty of his identity remains elusive. It is known that this malevolent figure has emerged and is displaying his formidable capabilities. The present era is characterized by an escalation in the conflict between the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Satan, reaching unprecedented levels. This phenomenon is believed to be a consequence of the imminent return of Christ and the ultimate destruction of Satan's kingdom. In the final hour, as has been previously indicated, the Antichrist is imminent. Numerous Antichrists have emerged, indicating that the final hour has arrived. These individuals departed from our midst, yet they were not truly part of our group. Had they been, they would have remained with us. However, they departed to reveal their true nature. They were not part of our group. However, you possess an anointing from the Holy One and you comprehend all things. I have not written to you because you do not comprehend the truth, but because you do, and you know that no falsehood exists. The following assertion is made with a high degree of confidence. The truth is revealed in the identification of those who are liars, and those who deny that Jesus is the Christ are identified as the Antichrist. The Antichrist is defined as one who denies the Father and the Son. It is evident that those who deny the Son also do not have the Father. Conversely, those who acknowledge the Son also have the Father. It is crucial to acknowledge that there is not one but many Antichrists. Throughout the course of human history, numerous Antichrists have emerged and been revealed. Secondly, there is the Antichrist, a specific individual who represents the final manifestation of the spirit of Antichrist, which has not nevertheless. Evidence suggests that his shadow has already fallen across the stage of human history, though the actual person remains unseen. However, the end of this age will see the arrival of a final, supremely evil, and supremely powerful ruler who will dominate the human race for a brief period. This being is known as the Antichrist. The third form is the spirit of the Antichrist. The spirit of the Antichrist is the spirit that operates through every Antichrist. Thus, the Antichrist always begins in some way in association. The people of God are not the intended recipients, and this will become evident over time. This is an indication of the influence of the Antichrist spirit. A wave of pestilence is anticipated. The French seer also predicted that the year 2025 will be marked by a significant famine triggered by a wave of pestilence. Initially, the focus is on the famine. When Nostradamus' prophecies are juxtaposed with the teachings of the Bible, a striking similarity emerges in their mention of a feminine figure. Returning to the past, Israel occupied the rocky highlands of Canaan, which is the same territory that is currently occupied by. The topography of the region, characterized by Jerusalem and the hills to the north, rather than the fertile coastal plains, posed significant challenges. Even in optimal conditions, extracting sufficient sustenance from the ground required considerable effort. The rainy seasons were brief, and any precipitation below average could have catastrophic consequences. Across the ancient Near East, drought and famine were major concerns. In the 13th century BC, the eastern Mediterranean region experienced a period of extreme aridity. In the ancient Near East, civilizations were known to collapse due to prolonged droughts. According to the book of Deuteronomy, God declared that if the Israelites adhered to his laws, the heavens would provide ample rainfall. Conversely, disobedience would result in a different outcome: the heavens would become copper, and the earth, iron. The Lord would make the rain of your land shall be covered with dust and sand, and you shall be wiped out. The ancient Israelites did not conceptualize nature as we understand it today, nor did they believe in chance occurrences. If circumstances were favorable, it was attributed to God's satisfaction. Conversely, if adversity arose, it was believed to be the result of divine anger. In the case of a national calamity such as a famine, the responsibility was attributed to the collective sin of the entire community. According to the ancient Israelite belief system, natural phenomena such as dust and sand falling from the sky were attributed to divine retribution, suggesting a direct connection between environmental events and divine judgment. The concept of chance was also absent in this view, as events were believed to be either the result of divine will or the actions of deities. In the event of a national catastrophe, such as a famine, the responsibility for rectifying the situation fell upon the monarchs representing the people. Prophets and oracles were entrusted with the task of discerning the cause of the divine wrath, as famine was regarded as both a punishment and an opportunity for introspection and transformation. One example of this can be found in the story of King Solomon, who, upon inaugurating the temple in Jerusalem, prayed for God's forgiveness in the event of a future famine. The book of Samuel recounts how Israel endured a 3-year famine. According to the book of Samuel, during the reign of David, considered by many to be one of Israel's most illustrious kings, a period of 3 years of famine occurred. When David inquired about the cause of the famine, he was informed that it was a result of the sins of his predecessor and mortal enemy, Saul. The famine can be regarded as both the culmination of disobedience and sin and the onset of new beginnings. It is evident that the state of Israel, beleaguered by a 3-year famine during the reign of David, though widely regarded as the most illustrious king of Israel, sought solace and refuge in the newly constructed temple. According to the scriptures, David, the king, sought to understand the underlying causes of this calamity. He was informed that the famine was a consequence of the transgressions of his predecessor and mortal adversary, Saul. The phenomenon of famine, therefore, could be interpreted as a potential turning point, a transition towards a future state characterized by fidelity and righteousness. Secondly, there is the belief that the sequence of pestilences foretold by Nostradamus, which are widely believed to be harbingers of deadly earthquakes, may portend a future of profound challenges. An examination of these verses is warranted. When one hears of wars and rumblings of war, one should not be alarmed. Such occurrences are to be expected. A prevailing view is that the sequence of natural disasters described in the book of Revelation, e.g., wars, famines, earthquakes, are harbingers of Christ's second coming. This interpretation is further supported by the belief that such disasters are the result of divine retribution, as outlined in the Book of Revelation. However, it is crucial to note that the Book of Revelation also depicts a series of apocalyptic earthquakes during the tribulation, suggesting that these events are not necessarily indicative of the end of the world. It is of a greater magnitude than anything the world has ever seen. However, the place in Scripture where people turn to make a link between ordinary earthquakes and the nearness of the end is Jesus' Olivet Discourse. Earthquakes and famines are mere birth pains. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her, that the body wants to bring it into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. World War III, on the other hand, is a sign of the end times. 79 years after the conclusion of the Second World War, Frenchmen predicted the advent of a new global conflict. This prediction was based on the observation that China's growing influence and rise as a global power was beginning to manifest in a changing geopolitical landscape. In the past, China has demonstrated its military might on several occasions in regions surrounding the South China Sea and Taiwan, primarily through the deployment of its naval forces. Analysts have posited that this display of force may be indicative of an escalating conflict in Asia, potentially involving NATO countries, which could result in armed conflict, or an all-encompassing war. War. Nostradamus' predictions from centuries past have been the subject of much discussion. In one of his quatrains, he wrote about combat and naval battle. He said that the red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Some think that the red adversary could be referring to China. He could also be referring to the events in Ukraine. Nostradamus' predictions of the end times have been a subject of interest and speculation among scholars and the general public alike. One of his quatrains, a type of poetic verse, contains a prophecy of combat and naval battle, suggesting a scenario of global conflict. The red adversary, a term that could refer to various entities or powers, is depicted as becoming pale with fear, causing the great ocean to tremble in dread. Interpreters of Nostradamus' work have identified various potential interpretations of the red adversary. Some have suggested that it could be a reference to China, particularly in the context of the ongoing conflict between China and Taiwan or the conflict in Palestine. Others have proposed that it may be a reference to earthquakes, political upheavals, or attacks on Israel, viewing these events as harbingers of the imminent end times. While these interpretations may suggest a link between the events of the present era and the apocalypse, they do not provide definitive evidence that the end times have arrived. The Apostle Paul also warned of a rise in false teachings during the final days, suggesting that some may abandon their faith and follow deceiving spirits and teachings of demons. The last days are described as perilous times due to the increasingly evil nature of humanity and those who actively oppose the divine. Throughout the annals of Christian history, adherents have engaged in speculative discourse regarding the imminent commencement of the prophesied eschaton. Some individuals of a particularly audacious disposition have even endeavored to establish specific dates for the occurrence of said events. Those who engage in predictions of such temporal frameworks tend to concentrate on phenomena such as warfare, the escalation of malevolence, and natural disasters. They expound on the pernicious consequences of these occurrences, including the exacerbation of hostilities and the intensification of calamities. Throughout the annals of Christianity, adherents have engaged in speculative contemplations regarding the imminent advent of the end times, as prophesied. Some have even endeavored to establish specific dates for this occurrence. These predictions typically encompass a range of ominous phenomena, including escalating hostilities, the emergence of virulent pathogens, severe food shortages, and intensified international tensions. It is an indisputable fact that global conflict will be a component of the forthcoming era. Christ's explicit teachings indicate the likelihood of warfare prior to his return. Jesus prophesied the rise of nations against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms. This notion is further elaborated upon in Revelation 6. For foretold a symbolic horseman representing warfare that would take peace away from the earth. To be more specific, the future does hold at least one more world war. There is nothing in Scripture that says there will be only a certain number of world wars. World Wars I and II are not explicitly mentioned in Scripture, nor is a possible Third World War. It is only the last war that is mentioned in detail, which allows the apocalyptic predictions made by Nostradamus include the idea of a horseman of war, which is interpreted as a symbol of warfare that will disrupt global peace. This horseman is said to appear in the year 2025, coinciding with the predicted occurrence of several significant global conflicts. However, it is important to note that the specific number of world wars is not specified in the prophecies. Notably, World Wars I and II are not explicitly mentioned in the prophecies, and the possibility of a Third World War is not addressed. The final war is discussed in detail, suggesting the potential for subsequent conflicts. While the prophecies indicate the likelihood of at least one more world war, they also imply a definitive outcome. According to the prophecies, righteousness will ultimately prevail as Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, defeats all who oppose him. Following the 1,000-year reign of Christ, there is a prediction of another uprising that could potentially escalate into a world war. Satan is also expected to play a significant role in these events. Bound for 1,000 years and then released, after which he leads a rebellion among the peoples of the earth. Christ quickly puts down this rebellion and permanently judges Satan, casting him into the lake of fire as he did with the beast, Antichrist, and the false prophet. Global Troubles in the Prophets, published in 1555, Nostradamus also mentioned that in 2025, there will be a number of troubles happening globally, including increased according to the predictions of Nostradamus. In the year 2025, a series of global troubles will occur, including conflicts, geopolitical problems, wars at sea, problems with the royal family, and a major humanitarian disaster. However, the most significant concern for humanity in 2025 is likely to be natural disasters, as a series of climate disasters are predicted to occur and threaten human life. The dry earth will become drier, and suddenly a great flood will come. This is a verse taken from the work Le Prophets, showing what Nostradamus predicted in 2025. This verse, as interpreted, suggests a further exacerbation of the already harsh climate conditions. The French prophet anticipates an escalation in the frequency and intensity of extreme weather phenomena, including record heat, forest fires, droughts, and storms. Global warming is a prominent phenomenon in the contemporary era. The Bible does not explicitly address climate change or global warming, however, it does imply a future of fire, which could be interpreted as a reference to the gradual deterioration of the earth. 2 Peter 3:10 states, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night." A thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed by fire. And the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare. God will one day erase this current universe and replace it with the new heavens and new earth. How much effort should be made to save a planet that God is eventually going to? The question of whether to expend effort to save a planet that will ultimately be obliterated and replaced with a new one of surpassing awesomeness is a complex one. Space Age. The postmodern Nostradamus prediction of the space age in the 30th century after the Fourth Industrial Revolution is also of interest. In a far-off area of Asia, a local social scientist driven by its natural instinct, the space age, which is characterized by the development of technology and social interaction, is a significant era in human history. It is often compared to the postmodern Nostradamus prediction of the space age in the 30th century after the Fourth Industrial Revolution. In a remote area of Asia, a local social scientist, guided by its innate instincts, deciphered the social and technological predictions of the 30th century. The timeline of the space age discusses the stages of its technological, social, and economic development from the 20th century to the 30th century. These stages include the age of modern culture, the age of novice space exploration, the age of commercial space aviation development, the age of peripheral space exploration, the age of outside peripheral space exploration, and the mature space age. The age of modern culture is characterized by the development of modern society and sustained commercial growth. The advent of electronic technologies, information technologies, and the applications of other technological gadgets has profoundly impacted commercial technology. The evolution of commercial technology encompasses the integration of computers, laptops, iPods, cell phones, and satellite-powered enterprise internet, cable, and communication lines. The advent of social interaction has played a pivotal role in the sustained development of modern culture, a consequence of technological development in the 21st century. The current era is characterized by the emergence of novice space exploration, a period that encompasses the 5 decades of space exploration from the Apollo spacecraft in the 1960s to the shuttle exploration of the 2010s. The utilization of electronic and nuclear technology is instrumental in the development of future spacecraft, which are designed to operate in a high-risk solar habitat. This technological advancement is poised to significantly impact the development of commercial aviation, enabling individuals to experience weightlessness in space and the Earth's atmosphere. Consequently, this will initiate the lucrative business of offering space experiences to the affluent segment of society. The utilization of electronic and nuclear technology in the context of the space exploration industry is poised to undergo a significant transformation, marking a pivotal shift in the realm of space travel and commercial aviation. This transformation will be driven by the advent of newfound technologies that will enable the exploration of space by individuals from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds. The advent of this new era, characterized by the convergence of advanced commercial information technology and the maturation of space exploration, will usher in a period of sustained growth and advancement. This growth and advancement will be instrumental in validating and evaluating the peripheral Earth conditions of the solar system, thereby enhancing the protection of space passengers in the 2020s and beyond, up to the year 2100. It is imperative to incorporate the age of novice space exploration into the space forecast, encompassing the projected changes until 2100 within the scope of the age of commercial space aviation development. It is noteworthy that the subsequent phase in the prelude of the space age will continue to leverage technological inventions and discoveries from the age of modern culture and the age of novice space exploration. It is imperative to consider the age of novice space exploration when formulating the space forecast, encompassing the anticipated transformations that will transpire until the year 2100. This period will coincide with the onset of the space age, a phase that will continue to draw upon the technological inventions and discoveries characteristic of the modern era and the nascent stage of space exploration. The baseline value life experience will persist within the context of the modern era. However, cultural adjustment and adaptation will be inextricably linked to the advent of innovative technological gadgets, such as the Internet and satellite technologies, which have been instrumental in the commercialization of iPods, cell phones, laptops, cable TV, and numerous other devices. The subsequent phase, characterized by the age of commercial space aviation development, will follow the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The third era of commercial space aviation development, following the Fourth Industrial Revolution, will persist in exploring enhanced quality assurance for the space aviation industry. This will address concerns regarding weightlessness, which hinders the provision of a superior experience and life support during space travel. The transition phase of modern culture and commercial aviation will remain dormant for centuries as the timeline progresses. The gravitational weightlessness and life sustenance of food and oxygen in space will be addressed during this revolutionary stage. Innovative technologies will persist until the age of commercial space aviation development. The exploratory process from 2020 to 2050 will provide quality assurance and entertainment for space passengers by offering actual weightlessness experiences. The exploration of space and the development of commercial spaceflight will continue to be a major focus of global culture in the coming decades. This will include the development of technologies that allow for the sustenance and life support necessary for human life in space, as well as the creation of habitats that can support human life beyond the Earth's atmosphere. However, it should be noted that these technologies will be available only to a wealthy elite and those with significant financial resources. In the 2200s and 2300s, there will be intense global competition in the field of commercial spaceflight, as cultures around the world adapt to and embrace this new era of modern culture, which will include the integration of space consciousness into our collective consciousness. In the subsequent generation, the space age will undergo a gradual development. The commercial space aviation industry will redefine its quality space service in order to promote the space habitat within the Earth's surface. This will occur after the boundaries of satellite flight within the range of Earth and the Moon have been established. This will result in a shift in the corporate world, leading to the dominance of a powerhouse. The reinvention of space hotels, space capsules, spacecraft malls, and other space facilities will make them habitable for human society. The age of peripheral space exploration will commence. The result of commercial aviation will be the transformation of space life within the Earth's distance on the outer Moon. The introduction of the space capsule and spacecraft will be the beginning of this transformation. The development of space capsules and spacecraft as the primary habitats for exploration in the highly hazardous solar system is a pivotal aspect of this stage. The Earth's surface is poised to undergo a profound transformation, becoming a space culture as it evolves in support of the space age. This transition, which will take place over the course of 5 centuries, will be driven by advancements in technology and social predictions. The development of simulated biological gravitation and life support systems will be a crucial element of this shift. The development of space habitats will be the primary focus of this stage. The Earth's surface will undergo a transformation, becoming a space culture as it adapts to the support of the space age. This transition will occur after 5 centuries of development. Social and technological predictions indicate that the development of simulated biological gravity and life sustenance, oxygen, and food support for space capsule and spacecraft habitats will be a driving force. The commercialization of space will extend beyond aviation development, encompassing the interplanetary exploration of international space corporations. The Earth's surface will also undergo a transformation, becoming a source of technological materials obtained from interplanetary exploration, as Earth resources in the Middle East and Asia are depleted. This transition is expected to occur in the year. The 2500s will see the commercial space aviation industry reach maturity as space habitats are developed. Commercial and state enterprises will explore the solar system in search of mineral and chemical resources to produce space facilities and equipment. The turn of the millennium will see the development of space bases and habitats that will sustain life in the solar system. By the year 2500, the commercial space aviation industry will have matured as space habitats are constructed. The commercial and state enterprises will explore the solar system for mineral and chemical resources to produce space facilities and equipment. The turn of the millennium will see the continuation of the development of peripheral solar exploitation as space bases and habitats sustain life in the highly dangerous interplanetary system. In contrast, human culture will undergo significant change, becoming defined by its ability to adapt to the space age. The 5th era will be that of peripheral space exploration. The subsequent centuries after the development of commercial aviation will see a significant boost in space exploration. The exploration of space will continue to play a pivotal role in this era of profound transformation. In contrast, human culture will undergo a substantial metamorphosis, becoming characterized by its ability to sustain this space age period. The 5th era is marked by the exploration of space beyond the confines of the solar system. The subsequent centuries following the advent of commercial aviation will witness a surge in space exploration, which will serve as the primary gateway to the exploration of extraterrestrial life. By the year 2500, space exploration will extend beyond the solar system, enabling humanity to undertake a more profound and tangible search for life in the universe. The timeline for this exploration is as follows. This expansion will be driven by the development of human habitats that will enable habitation in deep space, extending beyond the solar system. By the end of the 2500, space exploration will continue to expand beyond the confines of the solar system, as humans will have mastered advanced search techniques that will allow them to explore the vast expanse of the universe. The timeline of exploration beyond the solar system. The timeline of the space age will be affected by many factors. The space exploration will continuously expand beyond the solar system as human beings become capable of conducting advanced, tangible searches for life in the universe. By the end of the 2500s, human habitats will have matured to the point that they can be established deep in space, outside the solar system. The last one is the matured space age, which will be the prelude to the age of peripheral and outside peripheral exploration. At that point, humanity will be able to perfect the hazardous life in space and its interplanetary challenges in the solar system. This period, characterized by the perfection of space travel and the exploration of the universe, is expected to span the 30th century. By the conclusion of this era, the human presence will have spread beyond the solar system, into the peripheral regions of the galaxy and the Milky Way. The human race will have become a spacefaring species, engaged in the search for life in the universe. The course of the space age will be influenced by numerous factors. The 30th century will mark the dawn of the space age, a period of profound transformation in which humanity will become space wanderers, exploring the cosmos in search of life. The course of this era will be influenced by a myriad of internal and external factors, including the impact of human activities and natural events that will unfold in the coming centuries. The transition to a new space age will occur as social and technological predictions, within the bounds of human intelligence and the sixth sense of human life structures and processes, are realized. While the fundamental principles of philosophical, social, and technological development will persist, the space age will bring about significant changes in the way we live and work. The world will undergo a transformative journey from 2010 to 2050, driven by the wonders of information technologies and space development. The advent of the space age is contingent upon a multitude of factors, including our collective faith in God and the generational transformation of our species' materialism. It is imperative that the global community comprehends the underlying principles of this social and technological prediction. Historically, the development of sustained religion has been guided by its ethical and moral values, transcending the world wisdom of the Savior. I affirm this perspective. May God be with you forever as we collectively inhabit the imminent future of the space age.